The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. My friends, we are in a bubble. It's a bubble. I saw a chart of penny stock volume today. It's skyrocketing. Like, it looks like a monstrous... Yeah. So, there's just a lot of speculation going on right now. And I got a text from a friend of mine today. And this is what he said. So I had contractors over to the house. They are 20 years old. All they asked about was SPACs and crypto. And they said they are making more money in day trading than contracting work, and are planning on quitting soon to be day traders. Take that anecdote and multiply it times 10 million, because that is happening all over the country. People, trading has turned into a national obsession. E-Trade opened 300,000 accounts yesterday. It's madness. Everybody is opening accounts. Everybody is trading. Everybody is trading call options. It is absolute madness. And if you are thinking about becoming a day trader, do not do it. I have an entire segment on day trading that I do, and I talk about how miserable it is. What a terrible existence it is. Never mind if you make money. It's just a crappy job. It sucks. And everyone's like, well, I get to quit contracting or whatever. No, just do your job. Don't trade. Don't trade for a living. It's bad. Oh, man. So they did a study on day traders in South Korea. And across a couple of thousand different day traders. So they followed these people for a year. After 6 months, 80% of them had quit. 80% of them had given up. Done. Broke. Okay. After a year, only 1% was left. And out of the 1%, they only had enough money for food and rent. And that was it. That's day trading. That is what's in your future. And right now, it seems really easy, but it's not easy. It's a lot harder than you think it is. Trading is hard. I've been doing it for 22 years. 22 years. And it's not easy. If I make 8% in a year, that's a victory. That is awesome. And it's kind of tough to live off of that, you know? And by the way, the whole thing with day trading, you know, if you're doing it as an avocation and not your vocation, if you're doing it as a hobby, then it's fun. But once it becomes your job and you have to produce these profits in order to live, the amount of pressure that's on you is enormous, because if you don't make money on these trades, then you're not going to be able to pay your rent. And then it's no longer fun. Then it's stressful. I mean, it's fun right now, but if you do this for a living, God, it sucks. It's terrible. You know, and I've day traded before. I day traded S&P futures for years, and it's hard. The best year I ever had, I made $8 million, and I would not have been able to make $8 million on my own, because I would not have had that kind of capital. Okay, it takes a lot of capital to make that kind of money. You know, I thought about doing this for a living, literally just day trading S&P 500 futures, and I am glad I didn't do it, because that is a terrible existence. It's terrible, and it's not glamorous, and there's no Lamborghinis, and there's no Instagram models, and there's no bottles. That none of this, it doesn't happen. Oh my God! Everybody thinks they're going to be this great trader, and it's. I can't tell you how tough it is. Right now it seems easy, but it's not going to be easy for long. It's going to get hard. This is going to be a very challenging year. And whenever you hear these stories, it's time to run the other way screaming. And there are more stories. Colin Kaepernick, yes, that Colin Kaepernick just recently launched a SPAC. And we have talked about SPACs on the show before. It stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Corporation. And it's basically a blank check company that acquires another company, and it's kind of a sneaky way to go public. Some people are telling me that we are still in the early innings of this bubble, and I don't think so. It doesn't feel like early innings to me. It feels like very late innings. This feels like the ninth inning. Feels like 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And I'm going to be 47 next month. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen some cycles. Retail always piles into the top. Always piles into the top. And then people say, but the Fed is as dovish as ever. They're going to keep printing money, so the market's going to keep going up. I don't know. I remember it was 1999, 2000. And I took a cab in San Francisco, and I had my rusty, trusty Nadenberg book, Options, Volatility, and Pricing. And I had this, I had to have this on the floor with me in the exchange. And the cab driver saw my options book, and he says, well, I trade options. And he starts telling me about all these options that he's trading. And I'm like, oh, man. This is literally the story out of the book when they talk about like the crash of 1929, when shoe shine boys are giving you stock tips. When cab drivers are talking about trading options, that's the top. That's what it looks like. That's what we are at right now. So, God forbid your portfolio looks like 100% stocks. I'm telling you, I can't say this with any more conviction. If we are not at the top right now, we are very close. Within a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, but we are very close. And you have to cut risk. These are the stories you hear at the top. Cab drivers giving you stock tips, shoe shine boys giving you stock tips, penny stocks, SPACs, Bitcoin. It's all the sign of a bubble. If it has three more months to go, that's fine. If it has 6 more months to go, that's fine. I just think at some point there has to be a conversation inside of the Fed about all the speculation that's going on. Like, are they awake? Are they noticing what's happening out there? Because it's not healthy. And remember, it may seem easy now, but it's never easy. I knew a portfolio manager that had a license plate and it said IZNVREZ, is never easy. It's never easy. This could end up being the mother of all investment bubbles, bigger than the ones before. And if it pops, it has the potential to be 10 times worse. The Fed is kind of between a rock and a hard place because they can't stop easing monetary policy because the whole thing will crash. Bumble went public today. But it went public at like $42 a share. It popped to $81 a share. The dating app, not like there's anything unusual about that. Companies go public all the time, except that Bumble is massively unprofitable and doesn't really have a plan to be profitable. Not that there is anything unusual about that. This happens all the time. Over 80% of companies that go public today are unprofitable. That's the parts that's unusual. If you want to talk about some other weird stuff, penny stock volume is through the roof. These 20-year-old contractors are doubling and tripling their money in penny stocks. No wonder they want to give up their jobs. Valuations in the U.S. are way more expensive than anywhere else in the world. We saw this before with Japan back in the 1990s, and that resolved itself over time. Japan got cheaper. The U.S. will get cheaper. The problem is there's no place to put conservative money. Where are you going to put your money? Treasury bonds, you get 1%. Investment grade corporate bonds, you get 2%. High yield bonds, you get 4%. Muni bonds, you get 1.5%. All of this is really unattractive, and that is the point. The Fed has made this stuff unattractive so that people will take risk, and they are taking risk. But is there a limit to this? Is there a limit to all this speculation? Back in 2000, interest rates were at 6.5%, and monetary policy was very tight. So you could make the argument that the Fed contributed to popping the bubble. Not this time. They actually want to make it bigger. Bigger. Jay Powell had some comments yesterday, and they're going to keep running this thing at full speed until everybody in the country gets a job. It's economic absurdity. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and one day it's going to result in a big crash. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but it will happen, and when it happens, a lot of retail investors are going to get wiped out. I'm not going to get wiped out because I'm mostly in cash. I sold everything a couple of weeks ago. That's right. I took a bunch of risk off the table and sold stocks. I also sold high-yield bonds and preferred stocks. I freed up a lot of space in the portfolio, and I raised a lot of cash. If I'm buying stuff now, I'm buying cheap stocks. Cheap stocks that are unloved and unwanted. There's still plenty of them out there. It's just not SPACs or crypto. I just got a tweet from someone. I quit my job in 2007 to trade stocks. A year later, I was broke and back to my 9 to 5. Yeah, that is going to happen to a lot of people. I heard recently that a high-up managing director at a bank recently quit to day trade. Keep in mind, this is someone who is already making a couple of $1,000,000 a year, so he thinks he can make more than that. Good luck. And finally, we have a stock to talk about, RCI Hospitality Holdings, otherwise known as Rick's Cabaret. This stock is climbing the pole, which is pretty nuts when you consider that all the strip clubs are closed due to COVID. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.